Mexico greatly improved the impression it left a few days ago against Portugal in the friendly match played at Estadio Azteca. And today they ended up drawing with Belgium, this friendly match that ended up being played in Chicago. But the truth is that the Mexican national team left a better impression today, a better impression than before. The last friendly was against the Portugal national team. After what was a friendly a few days ago against the Portugal national team, which played at half speed and only occasionally stepped on the gas, today the story was different. There are some nuances. We're not talking about a complete turnaround, but it was a positive change from the last match to the game that Mexico played tonight against Belgium in Chicago. There's a reality. The bar for facing Mexico is not the same when they play against Portugal as when they play against Belgium. First, we're talking about a team like Portugal, a clear candidate to be at least among the top 4 in the next World Cup. And on the other hand, we have a Belgium that is perhaps in one of its last World Cups, with some of the players from that famous golden generation. Llamó en algunos medios que the Belgian national team. It's that the generation of footballers that Belgium has produced in the last 10 to 14 years. There are some who are no longer part of this roster. They're no longer even part of professional football. Like Eden Hazard, who was part of this process with the Belgian national team. And today he's no longer there. But there are many who are reaching the twilight of their careers. That's why Belgium also has to renew itself with some names like De Ketelaere, and for that reason, well, another one, Luque Bacchio, who ends up scoring the goal. Tielemans, especially after the drop in performance first from Witsel, then Meunier, ended up earning his place. Tielemans is currently one of the great midfielders in the Premier League. He's not one of the best, not in the top 5, but he's still a great midfielder. But what I want to point out is that even against a European team with more room to operate, Bosnia is not that Mexico played an even match against Bosnia today. With all due respect, Bosnia qualified for the World Cup by eliminating Italy. But it's not a lower tier team among the European teams. It's a good benchmark. It's a very good test for Mexico today, no more and no less than against the Belgian national team. And it ends in a draw. Even so, even throughout the 90 minutes, it's important to point out that the Mexican national team had a great match. They ended up falling apart at the end, I imagine, as a result of the physical exhaustion that this team went through. What is clear to me is that this team needs to keep something in mind. As this team's goal, every time they go out to play a match, the word fight should be above the locker room door. If Mexico thinks that, no matter how strong its footballing identity is, no matter how much it tries to preserve that identity, that they're going to be able to play football in the sense of trying to keep possession of the ball. As for the footballing identity Mexico has been trying to maintain lately, Mexico is completely mistaken. If Mexico wants to succeed, they know they have to play football, but they also have to fight. This Mexican team also has to fight. I liked what I saw at the end, with Mexico regrouping when they were clearly running out of energy. When obviously the changes ended up changing the Belgian team for the better. And that's why I want to point this out. If Mexico understands that it's a team with the talent to play good soccer, but it also has to fight to hold on, to survive in this World Cup, it's a team that could have a great World Cup. What does it mean to have a great World Cup? For me, for Mexico to reach the round of 16 with the talent it has, that's having a good World Cup. That said, it might not be the expectation that the Mexican people or the Mexican fans would like to have, but that's how I see it today. Today I see a Mexican team that, with determination and good soccer, can easily make it to the round of 16. Once you get to the round of 16, once you reach that stage, it largely depends on your opponent. Because if Mexico has to play against one of the best European teams in this World Cup, and we'll clearly be saying that Mexico got as far as it could, and there wasn't much more it could do. Now, if by some chance they have to play against a team like Austria and end up getting eliminated, it's going to be a shame. because they would have been very close to reaching the quarterfinals. Those quarterfinals that have always been so elusive for Mexican soccer and the Mexican national team. The truth is that Mexico, also with the starting 11 they put out today, the truth is the starting 11 Mexico used today, for me, it's very close to the best starting 11 Mexico can put out. You on the other side might have your own changes. Obviously, there will be some changes. Javier Aguirre will surely make some looking ahead to the World Cup roster. But I think the difference Mexico can make doesn't really come from changing the starting 11. I think the difference could be for the worse. Because this is something I have to say to the Mexican fans. The difference for the worst that Mexico has is that probably many of the teams they face will have a better squad. Maybe there isn't that much difference in the starting 11, but I think that from the bench the quality is going to be there, and that's what could knock Mexico out of a World Cup. I don't see players who can come off the bench and really make a difference for Mexico. And I also don't think there are any players on this Mexican team who are untouchable. I think that if the national team coach ends up treating the players equally on the same level, I think that Mexico, with that internal competition, can create a competitive atmosphere that will take them far in the World Cup. Now, if the coach tells the 11 starters that they are the starters, and that competition within the group doesn't happen, it's very likely that Mexico will end up having a World Cup that turns out to be disappointing. And finally, if this team thinks that it's just about moving the ball and trying to find the spaces, they're going to have a good World Cup. They're also wrong. It's a team that, when they lose the ball, will have to go after every ball as if it were the last one. Because technically, Mexico doesn't have much to spare. It doesn't have much to spare. But just because they don't have much to spare doesn't mean they're a team that should go out there to lose. No. Or that they should underestimate themselves. It's completely the opposite. They have just enough quality to try to play football, to do a good job, and just the right level. How? So they don't relax. They know they have to give 110% to have a great World Cup, and at least make it into the top 8. After that, in soccer, it's not just about the players on the field, it also depends on the intelligence coming from the bench, whether through substitutions or match preparation methods. The truth is that Mexico, even against a Belgium that is considerably weaker than previous Belgium teams, compared with the Belgium teams from the last few World Cups, it still ended up being a good performance against a good European side. And we shouldn't downplay Mexico. Here, I think what we need to do is give more value to Mexico's result. And in any case, if we need to downplay someone, it's Belgium, not the Mexican team. Mexico continues its preparation for the next World Cup. Honestly, I think the performance today was solid. They made a good impression. Mexico improved its image today. I think Mexico had the potential to arrive at the World Cup in better shape. Arriving at the World Cup in better form doesn't just mean some players have declined or lacked the level expected for the tournament. But also, on a collective level, I think Mexico could have arrived at this upcoming World Cup playing a little better. Now, this doesn't mean that the World Cup is lost for Mexico, not at all. There are times when, if the ship is steered back on course at the right moment, it doesn't mean the ship is going to sink. Well, this is what's happening with Aguirre's team. It seems like the course correction is coming at the right time. There are still 2 friendly matches left that are going to be important. How the national team coach and the players themselves handle things is crucial. But if Mexico commits during this remaining time, they can arrive well prepared for the next World Cup. And in fact, they try or at least can maintain consistency through effort and intelligence. Tactically and also in their gameplay as they showed today, even though the goal comes from a set piece, the set piece that leads to the goal gets a bit messy in the end. But I think Mexico, with a goalkeeper like Tala, I think that both Vasquez and Montes are strong players in defense. They are strong players in defense. Quiñones seems to me to be the heart of this team's attack. He has that change of pace that a team like Mexico needs. What needs to be said is that Lira and Fidalgo kind of get in each other's way. They kind of get in each other's way. I think Fidalgo could even play in Lira's position. And in the middle, put in another type of player. A player with different characteristics. But the truth is, I think the Mexico team is well put together. We might see some changes, yes, a few changes can be made. Instead of Pineda, Alvarado could play on the right, but honestly, there isn't much more to say about this. Yes, maybe a significant change could be taking out a midfielder and putting in another forward. That could be a significant change. But I think they would lose some fluidity there. Also in midfield, which is kind of the soul of this team, keeping possession of the ball. But other than that, not much more. I hope you enjoyed this reaction to the draw between Mexico and Belgium. As always, we already reacted to the previous match against Portugal and now to the one against Belgium. I invite you to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time with more reactions and more analysis here on Falso Nueva TV.